Yes. So, good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
Perfect
Again,
experience.
are we caught up our own
Yeah, we've been caught in our own
An
trap.
apt topic then.
Yeah.
That's nice. So, everyone out there, sorry we had some technical issues and we're still dealing with this, but we are here and we are doing it. Yes.
Yes, we
ladies?
are doing it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm afraid
So
I'm not.
yes, because good afternoon. I know it's a bit tricky. You see me sending messages, and that's what technology is limiting us to. But we are doing it. So we're going to start in 1 minute. We're just sending everybody the link, the new link, because unfortunately we tried to start, but we realized that there were some technical issues. So we are trying to sort it out. Stay with us. Bear with us. Yes. Yes, that's it.
Can you just announce that we're going to lose?
So we're going to start in 2 minutes. Just stay with us. I wish we had a bit of music for you guys out there. But in the meantime, I ask the ladies here to introduce themselves. You want to start, Trish?
Okay. Hello, my name's Trish. I was very excited to be here today, and it's been a real learning curve. I've really enjoyed the opportunity. Unfortunately, I cannot stay for now, but I'm hoping that I will be able to join you some other time.
Yes, but you can join us on the phone. You can call me
Can
and
do.
share. Yeah, because that's the beauty of technology. So Trish, we'll let you go now, but please join us at some point and give us. Yeah. Is that okay? All right. Thank you, Trish. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to
Take
meet you.
Yeah.
And Trish, you can share also the link in the Facebook group. Yeah. After move. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so lady, we've got Lady T
Yes.
with us today.
Yes.
Lady T.
Wow. Yes, we've been. This is a really great opportunity to learn together, and there is always a first time for everything.
Absolutely.
And so, you know what? We're here with women. We're real. This is life. This is when you're doing a live show. This is what you expect.
Exactly.
We never expected to lose, one of our, ladies guests, and but we have lost it. That is what happens. There is no pause button to press.
No.
Because the
Absolutely.
technical glitches happened, and she just had to go because she was only here for a while.
Yeah.
But it's good to be with you on this show today, and thank you. My name is Toro, aka Lady T.
Thanks, Toro.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lady T.
Well, hi. Thanks for staying with us. My name is Joyce. I've had the pleasure today of joining these two lovely ladies. The host has invited us to come in today and talk about limitations. And talk about limitations has been it's been a challenge from the beginning, but we're here and we're happy to be part of the journey.
And it looks like it's also, it's interesting because you talk about a topic and you think you actually understand the topic fully until you actually challenge the actual topics, which is great. It took us a lot. So we had these limitations today, and we started this program. However, we are doing it. Yeah. So, ladies, in terms of the expectation of today, we're going to cover it in two parts. So the first part will be limitation on a personal level, and the second part will be on a collective level. So starting on the personal level, I don't know if ladies you want to say anything. You want to chip in first with limitation. What do you understand by the word limitation? What comes to your mind?
When I think about the word limitation, for me, it's about something holding me back, a restriction, some form of control, things that have been put around me, all that I have put around myself to limits, okay, how far I can go, what I can do. And for me, a lot of times when I think about it, it's the limitations that I have put more around myself, in terms of my internal limitations. Because, when I look at external limitation, to be honest, with a lot of external limitations, there is very little that you can do because the control is out, it's out of your control. The situation is out of your control. For instance, you've experienced a broken marriage, that was outside of your control. However, all right, the internal controls that I have, all right, is what actually begins to now help me to move forward or to actually restrict me. So when I think about limitation, I think about external limitations and I also think about internal limitation. And like I said earlier on, the internal limitations is really what matters to me because that's what is within my control and that's what I try to focus on. And that is to do with my mindset, the limits, the cap, the leads that I place on myself. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
actually very, like, it's all kind of encompasses the whole, so basically you've said it all. Just to add to it, it's just a restriction that we put on ourselves. Well, it's a restriction, but then there's, as you're saying, there's the outer limitation and then there's the internal limitation. But basically restriction, isn't it? If you think about limitation, is a situation, is a circumstance that is stopping you from doing something. From it could be stepping out there, it could be finishing something. So yeah, if we talk about limitation, it's a situation or a circumstance restricting us basically to do something or to complete something.
And it's interesting, Lady T, because when you talk about limitation, you said that we're putting on ourselves. Do you really think it's always ourselves? Or do you think there are other, I use the word forces, external aspect that actually we not impose it on ourselves, we don't force it, but other realities that actually come our way that limit us, external factors?
Yeah, obviously, when I said put on ourselves, I mean in terms of that we continue to allow. So, for instance, when I spoke about the mindset, maybe the way that you think, that is shaped by several factors. Your upbringing, childhood, your exposures in life, and all this kind of stuff. So they do have a role to play in terms of influencing how your mindset is developed. All right. However, it is still up to you whether you allow those limitations to carry on once you identify that. So let's say, for instance, I wasn't given love as a child. All right. And so I lacked love. And so I grew up lacking self-esteem. And that placed a limitation on me in terms of my relationships and how I see myself. And so but the moment I realized that this is a limitation on myself and that is impacting on my relationships, okay, then I can begin to do something about that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Limitations, they're not necessary. Sometimes they're out of your control.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the key aspects that we tend to forget when situations happen where we feel limited. A lot of the time we focus on ourselves and forget that some of the limitations are external. If you're unable, for example, you do want to work, but perhaps your childcare issues, for example,
or ill health,
or you're not well. It could be many issues, but one of the things that we tend to forget is that sometimes the limitations are not self-imposed; they're outer. Outer factors, societal, community. And so it's not always. It's not always yourself.
Self-imposed.
It's not self-imposed. A lot of the time, self-imposed, yes, but most of the time, from my experience or from talking to a few other people, a lot of the limitations has either been it's external. It could be people it could be the wider society, it could be the smaller community that you're in. So limitation is not just self-imposed.
It's true, and I can see Trish is there on the line. She's saying hello. Yes, Kaish as well. Hi Trish, it's good to have you. Please join in the conversation with Kaish if you have anything to add. And I think we will have also another participant, another panelists who's online. Hazel, if you can hear us, Hazel, yes, I will bring you on. You'll be on at some point. You can even give me a call. Guys, I can't actually see very well. I think I need glasses now. Let me see. But I can see some people joining us already. And yes, so you said if we can maybe try to think of what sort of limitations are, that we came across, that we want to maybe expand a little bit more.
I mean, when we're talking about limitations, the list I feel is endless. It's endless. So perhaps we may want to just kind of pick on one or two, and we can talk about being a lone parent, for example. You want to better yourself. However, as a parent, you need to learn to juggle, work, children, and how that sometimes it limits what you can do. Of course, there are ways, and hopefully we will touch on how to overcome these. But you're learning to juggle your work, running a home, where we're all from originally. You're talking about attending to extended family as well, and it always. This is why I always say that we focus on these and then we forget about ourselves.
And I think just on this, I can see we've got Hazel who's saying parents don't say take risk. They say be careful. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think I've got somebody, but the name is just the ABC. So if you don't mind putting your name, they say hello. How do you overcome external limitations? And think external ones can be hard.
Yes, external limitations. Someone's asking how to overcome these external limitations.
We get there.
We will talk about it, and I can assure you that they're very helpful. These are, they're sort of long list, but they're just basics that when you tend to follow, it helps. We have this notion that to be successful, everything has to be perfect. That's not the real world, and that's not reality. No. So there are ways to overcome them, but we're talking about, we'll talk about, the list of.
But on this as well, Joyce, we said we actually want you guys to also chip in what sort of limitations have you experienced or have you observed that are quite common. We're talking about, we're still on the personal level, because we will talk in a few minutes about collective limitations, and that will be touching on Black History Month. But at the moment, if you can just chip in and just send us, your opinion about the type of limitations that you've experienced. And some of them that you talked about, you just touched on, was as a single parent, isn't it?
Yes.
You talked about a single parent. But I will say also on a personal level, as a woman, it can be also perceived as a strength and a limitation. And in some societies, African society, for example, the cultural society, you can, on a personal level, as a woman, there are some, self-imposed limitations or the society imposed on you, and the expectations from women. I've seen, for example, in my country, we had, for example, families when you had boys and girls, and the boys were encouraged to learn how to drive early, to do certain things, to go out late, and the girls were not really expected to drive basically at a young age, or they have to actually push themselves, or even taught to drive by the brothers. That's very interesting.
It is.
It's very interesting.
Thankfully, the next generation don't have those kind of imposed. Sometimes it's not even visible.
Hopefully,
some limitations can be language.
Oh yes.
Limitations can be language used, and it just kind of it makes you take a step back. And because someone is said, "Oh, you're a woman, you can't do this," or "You're a girl," or "You're too young," or "You're too old." So it's language as well. It's a limitation.
It's very interesting when you say you can't do this. What about the opposite? You have to do this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because we're living in a world now when women, we are, we actually do it. You are juggling, the home, managing the home, earning a living. Yeah. So we should, tap on our shoulders. So we are super women. The 21st century women, We are curiosity. I mean, what do you think, ladies?
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're women of strength, great strength.
Yeah, we are women of strength, and it's about recognizing that ourselves first
Yes.
before we even expect anybody else to recognize that. I mean, I'm touching now on the overcoming those limitations already.
Well, I mean, we can jump
can.
onto the overcoming
can.
limitations. The list is the same, is endless. I mean, you with your line of work, I'm sure you know you do that a lot.
I mean, obviously, the finances is a major area for a lot of families in terms of. I mean, I would say I would use my example as a single mom. We know that two is better than one.
Yes.
That's an equation that is well accepted out there. But when you find yourself where it's just one salary, and then you've got to stretch that throughout the month, and it's not just for the care of the family, then you're looking at your own self as a woman. You know, you need nice wig, you need nice shoes, you need to have a social life. You know, you want to invest into your personal development. You know, you want to start a course. You know, these are real issues, real challenges that I face with. I want to give. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I want to tithe. I want to give offering every time I go to church. So it's like so many. You think about all of that and how do you actually overcome the fact that okay, it's just this one income. And that is the reality that I was faced to. And so I began to think about, okay, who says I must only have one income? If this income is not enough, then I need to start thinking about multiple streams of income. And so as women, we just feel, you know what, because there is so many things to juggle, like you said, then you're thinking, adding another source of income. You mean I should go and get another job? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It might just be a hobby. Exactly. You know, baking. And I mean, we know people who have started selling and making money
I absolutely get what you're saying. I spend, you know, as I said, being a lone parent and being in, you know, going back to adult education is very, very challenging. But you have a dream and you want to achieve. And, you know, I can wrestle, you know, some foods. I cook. It's extra, it's a hobby, but it makes me money. So, you know, 5 years from now, you know, it's on a shelf somewhere on the high street. That's the plan. But you have to find ways of making these situations work. And, you know, it falls back down to how do you overcome limitations? They're personal, but you know, you just find ways that work for you. For me personally, and if we're going to touch on overcoming, one of the most important things that I've always said is seek help. We come from a culture where we don't talk.
Yes, I agree. And I think, Joyce, before you seek help, I would say sit back, take a step back. Because have you heard of you need to know yourself first?
Thank you. That's why I was
if you know yourself and you know, then you will know your limitations and your strengths.
Yes.
Have you heard of my limitations are someone else's strength and someone else's limitations are my strength?
Absolutely.
Have you heard of that before?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me see, before we carry on, I just want to see who's saying what there. I can see Hazel is saying, if you don't know something exists, how can you achieve it? You are limited by what you know. It's true. Definitely 100% Hazel.
You seek help. You talk to people.
Yeah. And then she said cultural limitations and expectations. Yeah. Limitations from overbearing parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody feel that?
Those things are always going to, personally, no. But as I said, our culture is an unspoken rule for so many things that is expected of you. You know, nobody thinks about how you're feeling, how apprehensive you are, you know, how much you don't know. Our society does not take into account those instances. They just say, this is how it's done. You go out and do it.
Okay.
And
are we talking, sorry, Joyce, are you going collective now, on collective level?
That's personal.
Because is it personal level or collective or touching on both?
Well, it's borderline. It's value for both.
Yeah?
It's value for both. because society is the bigger picture,
Yeah.
and they do place limitation on us, all of us.
Yeah.
Is how we deal with it or how we understand. And for me, as I said, if we're going to touch on how to overcome it, the one of the first things that I personally feel is really important is to talk to someone.
Mm.
Acknowledge that you do have these limitations, and then seek help, seek advice.
So where do you find help? I think anybody wants to chip in on this? Help, because there's different level of help, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There are different level of help. And you talked about something important, Lady T. You mentioned being a Christian. So as a Christian, on the Christian level, where do you seek help as a Christian?
I mean, as a Christian, to be honest, I mean, I've had it's a very mixed
Right.
situation here, because there are people who have sought help from the church, and oh my God, we know by virtue of the profession we do, where they would tell you to stay in an abusive relationship, even though the relationship is killing you, because God hates divorce. And the stigma around single parenting, don't be a single parent. So church sometimes might seem like the worst place to go to, which is a shame. It shouldn't be, because the church is supposed to be the light. But you know what? If you are in a church, okay, where you can get support, all right, where you trust, the leadership there, then definitely get help. I mean, I'm fortunate to be in that kind of a place where I can get help from my pastoral care, from my leaders in church. And also, I mean, it's not just about the pastors. It could be friends, real friends that have
Absolutely.
walked your journey with you for years. Some of my friends and my close family were my source of strength when I was going through my challenges to overcome my limitations. So, I mean, if you're blessed, to have good friends and good family, then they can also be your source of support.
Yes.
And also, there are organizations out there
Absolutely.
that that offer support depending on what it is. There is a lot of, I think, maybe if people can just begin to just let us
If they
know
offer,
which area it is that you may probably be really wanting specifically for us to speak into, and to signpost you to resources that are out there.
Sorry, I see somebody said, what about people who are atheists? Where should they get support from? I found the church very restrictive. I think religion can sometimes be a limitation. I think you touched on that.
Yes.
Because again, what Lady is saying, that she's not saying that it's the solution for everybody.
Yeah.
But we're starting from what Joy said. Take a step back. Know yourself. It's like food.
Yeah.
Am I like a certain type of food, Chinese or African food from a specific country in Africa? Because Africa is a continent. I'm not gonna, I'm giving Africa credit. So I might like food from maybe Central Africa. You might like something from East Africa, and you might like something from West Africa. So it's about looking at what works for you. You need to know yourself first. What do you think, Lily? What do you think?
I totally agree. One size doesn't fit all. Acknowledge what your limitation is. That's why I said it's really important that you seek help. If my limitation is internal, then I know that I need to seek that kind of help that would help me change my mindset, because it's a mind thing. If your limitation is physical because you're in an abusive relationship, you sought help within that particular. If it's within the community, as we all know, like how where we're from, you seek help within, by talking to an elder, because that's what we do. So one size is not for everybody. You just need to first and foremost acknowledge what the situation is, what is limiting you.
And I can see here, so you have to come a bit closer because I won't be able to read. It said, somebody says, is it Lona, I need to read that then, sorry. Lomarovi, faith in God overcomes limitations. The word of God says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. It also says God has not giving me a spirit of fear, but of sound mind.
Unfortunately, somebody might have that fear of mind.
Yeah, but I'm also a Christian, and going back to what Toro said, you know, for myself, for example, yes, I will use the word of God to strengthen my fears and all that. But I take on board for other people who are not Christian, yeah, you have to look outside that arena then and consider, maybe support.
Yes.
There's somebody depending on the limitation again. Because if I give you an answer to that, that will be restricting my mind. I cannot restrict that. But again, we said there's so many type of limitations and we cannot touch on all of them. But I think we might even come back and discuss that more. But you will have to help us then and decide, okay, and tell us what sort of limitation you might want us to talk about next time. Because I think we will have to
yes, absolutely.
A part 2 of this session. Yeah.
I think it's key. It's very key to identify whether the limitation that you're experiencing is within your control.
I agree.
Okay, or outside of your control.
Yes.
Because anything that you don't have control over is going to be pointless channeling energy into. Because I mean, like for instance, I had to do a major change in where I positioned myself in my career, because I knew that I had no control over the caseload, over all the over so many things. I sat down and I had to walk myself, and I was able to eliminate what I had no control over. Then I was faced with what I had control over. And then from there, okay, then I began to work. Okay, so what can I do? What help is available to me? And so that is one thing first. So I would say, make sure you know, is this outside of your control? I mean, if ignorance, I mean, if lack of knowledge or skill is an issue, is a limitation, and you want career, you need to go and get that. I mean, I had to go back to university. In my 40s, I had to go and retrain.
So give me 5 for that. Give me 5 for that.
Yeah, because I realized there was a big financial limitation because I was in a crazy marriage, and I knew that there was absolutely no way, where things were heading. So I became very restricted, and I had to go and pay and invest for 3 years, to overcome the limitations. All right, and that went a long way.
And hi Lorna, I can see you say full name is Lorna. Hi Lorna, it's nice to have you. But again, I love what you're saying. Going back, it's so spot on, because you're giving us practical way of the starting point.
Yes.
And I could picture you actually writing on your list of what you have control of and what you don't have control of, and crossing out what you have in control of, because it's something that you might work on a different level. But focusing first on what you have control of, because I like the thought of focusing on the glass half full, instead of focusing on the glass half empty. Because what is gone, number one, in the glass, and what I can actually drink is what's left in the glass. And that works for me. So it's something maybe that you might also want to try as well. Focusing on what you have, focusing on what you can do, and at least I can imagine you doing that. Yes,
I did.
You did. Did you?
I actually did. I actually did, and then I said, what next?
But that's the thing, though.
What next? Then that's where my action plan came in.
Exactly. Boom, boom. And then that's when you develop a list. Like you have you say, I need a routine, I need a plan. You develop a routine. I mean, even science backs this, that when you overwhelmed with the situation, it's either fight or you flight. So have a routine. It's part of the coping. Have a routine, have a list of what you do. It doesn't have to even be focusing on just you. Have a routine. If it's on Tuesdays, you want to go and teach a dance class, go and teach dance on Tuesdays. If you want to support someone to, a child or a group of children to learn how to do that, it's all part of refocusing your energy into what you want, to work for you. So that's one of the things I feel. That's one of the second list. Plan, the list of having a routine and stick to it, because then your mindset starts to focus on the what positives. That's right, and what you're planning to do.
I mean, saying that on the positive, everything that we want starts from our thoughts. So like you spoke about the mindset. So your limitation can be your mindset. So it might be the way that you think about things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to be honest, who we are today, everything around our lives, has been shaped by the way we think, our thoughts.
That's a
100%.
So if there are limitations that that okay, you have control over, then you can begin to think the thoughts that would help you, okay, to actually
change their mindset.
change their mindset, to develop a new mindset. And as you develop a new way of thinking, the law of attraction says what? You're going to attract.
That's it.
Your life is going to go in that direction.
Absolutely. Sticking to a routine is very important.
So let's see what the viewer has to write down your plan. Yes.
Yes, I said somebody said limitation is limitation, and let's not quote it in sugar. You're right. Yeah. And then set goals and plans.
Yeah.
It's not sweet at all. Write down your plans. Yes, I've done that. It works. Give you focus. And here's a step, manifesting your goals. And somebody said limitation are harmful. They are. That's what we hear. We're talking about it.
Absolutely.
And so somebody said men is a big limitation, especially for women. Look at the single mothers out there. Do you know that? I'm gonna have to challenge you here, Lucy, because I know also some single men who are doing a great job, and they also having it's quite interesting because the world is changing. Remember that
the dynamics are changing.
Dynamics are changing. The table is going round now. As you can see, some the single women are not. They're not playing the victim card anymore. Am I right?
No, because you can go out there, seek help, and you cannot have a victim mindset if you want to be successful. And success does not necessarily mean you have a room full of money or your wall is full of certificates. No, success is also being happy, being content. Getting up and doing what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled.
Yes.
That is also success. So you can't, and it's not just saying that men are stopping. They, to a certain extent, yes. And the same way women are kind of impeding other people to kind of move on as well.
Actually, I think that person might also be talking about, please correct me if I'm wrong, and give us a bit more information that there are fewer men out there.
Yes.
And that's why there's a lot of single women.
Yes. Is that what you tend to say? When you say men is a big limitation, especially for women, can you please expand on that? And I'm going to the next one, who's Ayola, who said limitation are a function of your thoughts and not caused by anyone.
Yes.
You did mention that you started with the thinking, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we are. There is a saying that says, "As a man thinketh, so is he."
Mm-hmm.
So we are basically what we think. And so if you don't like what we see or the limitations that we're experiencing, then we got to start changing,
right?
The way that we use our mind. And that's one thing I noticed, that this was an area, even though I've been working through it for a long time, but I intentionally focused on this recently, and I'm working with someone now that is helping me to actually overhaul the way that I think, to look at the way that I think and how my thoughts is placing limitations on me. I've set goals. I want to do this. Why am I not achieving those goals? What is it? I have needs, they're not being met. Why are they not being met?
And I think when you're saying that, Aditi, what comes to my mind is, in order for you to think, you need to pause. You need to pause, and that's one thing that we struggle sometimes in the 21st century to do. And I used to think that in Africa, I think we're a bit slowly, but it's not anymore.
No, Africa has changed. There's a lot of change happening.
Things are very, very fast as well. So when do we take that time to pause and actually think, so that we can actually reflect and look at what limits you to actually achieve what you want to achieve?
Yeah.
And we're going back. You know what? This discussion, we are going back again to knowing yourself.
And
knowing yourself.
Absolutely. And one of the most important, another thing that I forgot to touch on is self-love.
Yes.
We have been conditioned to be selfless and not self-love. So we always put ourselves on the back burner,
Mhm.
trying to support everybody, and everybody we're running around, even when it's that you're overwhelmed, it's
Mhm.
not convenient for you, but because society says be
Mhm.
selfless.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So you just
But-
take everything on.
Yes, for me, and this I say this now, it's been a journey
Mm.
that I have been on myself. So I
Mm.
say, instead of you focusing on being selfless, focus on
Self-love.
self-love.
Or self-care.
That's what it
Yeah,
is.
it is. You love
Because
yourself.
when you're in a good place,
Mm.
all the other things, and everybody
Yes.
else
Yes.
fits in
Yeah.
perfectly.
Absolutely.
We focus too much on others and not on ourselves, and we need to start focusing on ourselves.
That's right.
You know, show ourselves some love. Be compassionate to yourself.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, I just want to see what our friend was saying here. See, when they were talking about women, she just explained. I don't know if I suppose it's a woman. I think it's a woman. Said, I mean the uneven distribution of childcare for women, especially single women.
Oh yeah.
There's an acceptance that women should do
Mm.
more of the housework and childcare. 100% agree.
100%. I
100% agree with that. And
So-
then that one says, Lorna is saying women sometimes limit themselves by having babies to men
Too
who
many.
don't want to commit,
Thank
and
you.
having the baby won't make them commit. But please,
Well done.
Lorna also saying some women feel they don't deserve a decent man, or they are attracted to bad guys.
It's a mindset.
Wow. That if I speak into that very quickly, that goes back to your knowing yourself. You see, you gotta self-love. You gotta know yourself and love yourself and know what is good for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Know what you want.
Exactly.
All right. And then when that consumes your thoughts, you're not gonna attract the smoky Joe.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna attract, crazy guys. You would be.
Because they would know when they
They would
approach.
exactly because you know.
And it's very simple because let's look at a different perspective. Health. Yeah. If you know what's good for your health, for your own health,
Yeah.
what is good for me might not be good for you. And again, age, when you're a teenager, you're a child. Yeah.
Mhm.
You can eat, maybe fatty food. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fatty milk, maybe full milk. But as you age, yeah, you need to change your diet. And if you don't know that you have to change your diet to adapt to your system, what will happen? I think
You
you
fall
understand?
ill, yeah.
So when you know yourself, going back to knowing yourself, relationships, because somebody touched on that, isn't it?
Yes.
Picking the wrong person.
Person, yes.
If you know yourself,
And that
you
can
know
set you back for years.
what person, what sort of person will fit actually your personality, your dreams, your path, and then you can join in partnership with that person. Otherwise, it's a catastrophe.
It
Yeah.
is.
I
Yes.
see that a lot. But I think because of time, I think we need to move on now to first, what solution do we bring in? So we talked about knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We talked about your thoughts.
Yes.
What else we talked
Having
about?
a plan.
Having a plan.
Seek help.
Writing down your plan.
Mhm.
I think that's good because you can go back to it.
Yes.
You can go back to
And
your
you
plan.
don't have to take all of them. You don't have to fulfill all of them, but just, in bite size.
Mhm.
Do plan in bite size. Don't
Yeah.
don't do anything too
Yeah,
big.
don't have
Just
to be big,
plan
yeah.
in bite size, and then
And it does something to your self-esteem when you're
Of
ticking them
course, when
off.
you're
You know?
achieving.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I like that. Hi, Lauren. I can see Lauren's is on. Lauren said you have to be an expert in your life. Oh, that's powerful. That's
you
really
are an
powerful.
expert in your life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I like that. I watched one day somebody was miming. I think the Nigerian mime is very popular and was saying, "You are the CEO of your life."
Mhm.
When you understand, you have that concept, and you embrace that concept that you're the CEO. So you take ownership
Yes.
of your thoughts,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
ownership of your actions,
Yes.
ownership of your
Absolutely.
decisions,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
ownership of your setbacks,
Yes.
Yes.
ownership of your victory,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
of who surrounds you, who surrounds your table.
Yeah. Yeah. Ownership of your
very
relationships. Yeah.
Those you associate yourself with.
Absolutely.
Is
That's
also
And that's
really
very powerful.
important.
Thanks for that.
That's a big one.
And
It's a
somebody
big
say,
one.
yes, I agree, Lauren. How do you become an expert in your life? Oh,
By taking ownership.
I wish you could write your name because all we got is ABC. So please, can you write your name down?
1, 2, 3.
Anything so I can go by your name because I really like your contribution. It takes time. I'm not gonna lie, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes an effort. It's like
Yes.
homework.
Yes.
Yeah. And you start, okay, starting point, research.
Yeah.
Yeah, research. Look at, you can find people who inspire you and learn from them. Yeah,
Yes.
because as a child you learn from your parents. You learn from people who become like your role model. Find role models. I think that works for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As a Christian again, I've got also my Bible, so that also guides me. You know, what's good for me because I believe I've got a creator, and the creator has a plan for me. It's like a manufacturer. The manufacturer knows how you use what they manufacture the product. The product. So I know that I've got a manufacturer, and I follow what the manufacturer guide, which is the Bible. That's for me.
Yes.
Again, I know some people are not Christian, but that's me.
Yeah.
And in life, I look also in role models.
Yeah.
Look at my role model, and I learn from them. Because at the feet of your role model, you can learn a lot.
Yes.
And that goes also with what I believe in and this project that I'm running. I'll talk about later. Yeah. But I don't know if you want to add anything.
I don't know. Another thing that I think for those who have time, try and find self-help books. I know some of them are pretentious. I remember.
Where do you find them?
Online, there are a lot of free books. Amazon does.
Audible,
audio. Yes, if you don't have time, half an hour of your day. There's a book called Mind Hacking. 21 days. It kind of this is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to kind of change you overnight, but it gives you little tips
and tools.
Little mind hacking.
Mind hacking.
Yeah, but it was written by John Hargreave. He's a sir now, I think he's a sir now. But it's a very simple book called Mind Hacking, and it gives you little tips. And I'm sure there are a lot of other self-help books out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, associate with people who dream or aspire to the things that you're aiming for.
That's right.
The people you roll with
is key.
Is really important. Yeah. I found a quote sometime last week when we were just having a normal chat, and I was telling Laurence that someone made a quote saying that don't run around with people who have nothing to lose.
That's powerful.
Do not run around with people who have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
If they have nothing to lose, you have a plan. You're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
But yes,
I'll just add to that. I'll just add to that. That you know what you said, the CEO of your life. I mean, a CEO would have a good understanding of what the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats of their organization. So I was trained to look at myself as an organization. It's a CEO. You're an expert of your life. So look at your strengths. So I took that SWOT analysis that we all did, isn't it? So look at your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and then the things that threatens you, and begin to see how you're going to eliminate those threats.
That's it.
All
right, so that you can become an expert. It is time. It is time.
It takes time, but
it's worth it.
Laurent said you review the decisions you have made in your life. Have they worked for you? Are you realistic? What are your barriers? Fantastic. And Lorna said,
that's perfect.
If you run around with people with nothing to lose, will make you lose what you have.
Absolutely.
You got it.
That's it. Simple as that.
You said it, Laura. You said it, Lorna. And that's why I'm going back to limitation and strength. My limitations are someone else's strength. My strength are someone else's limitations. I give you an example. I started, I always wanted to do a bit of exercise, walking, running. So, very interestingly, I came across this lovely lady. I think Lorna, you're on the line, and she loves walking, and I knew that for me to keep up with that consistently, I needed a working partner.
Mhm.
And Lorna, we actually end up meeting, and then now I was surprised to see that since July we have been working every
Wow.
single Thursday.
Wow.
Not because of me, that was my weakness.
Yes.
Because of Lorna,
There
because
you
Lorna
go.
loves working.
Mhm.
So we're talking about, who do you associate with
Align yourself.
and how do you align yourself with the right people to get to what you want. So thank you, Lorna, for that. So heads up to you. I actually want us to move on to the next part because I'm looking at time. We will have a part 2 if
Okay.
you want. It's up to you. Just let us
Yes.
know. And I think now we want to chip into collective limitations, linking with Black History Month.
Okay.
Anybody can tell us a little bit about anything they want to say about Black History Month, because it's not celebrated unfortunately in Africa. I don't know why, but in the West and in the diaspora, it is recognized, acknowledged by the community, and we want to talk about it and celebrate it. So limitation as Black people, collective limitation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why it's celebrated in the diaspora is because, I mean, it was when we look back into slave history, the slaves were actually picked from Africa, from all the different, third world, and brought into the Western world. And over time, as they settled, they've achieved, they've overcome with a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
Their limitations, and many of them have contributed to whether the American history,
Yes.
which is where it started from, it originated from, also the British history. So I think you were going to say.
I think it was proposed in the 60s, late 60s.
67, yeah.
In America, 69, by one of, I think, is a professor, who proposed as a way of kind of not forgetting where we're from, acknowledging, diversity, acknowledging race, acknowledging the history behind why, they're not on the continent and they're in the diaspora. And basically it's just a way of celebrating, success within the diaspora, within the Black communities. And I think it's become like a theme every year. They pick on a theme to talk about.
So let's look at the theme this year. What's the theme this year?
I think this year they talked about diversity. I think family, diversity, identity. Yeah, the Black.
And limitation falls. I mean, if you think of limitations, you can cover, all these things. Yeah, our limitation is all these areas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Collective limitations. And what comes to my mind is the glass ceiling. Yeah, the glass ceiling, and now the concept. I don't know if you're familiar with the glass ceiling concept.
Yes,
yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you? I don't know if you're familiar with the glass ceiling concept. So collectively, we tend to find statistics in terms of achievement. The higher you go, the less representation you find. We're talking about Black women, Black men. And some professions, there's statistics showing that in some professions you don't find us represented at all, and it's not necessarily because we don't want to. No, it's because perhaps society don't want us to do that. I'm becoming a bit political. I'm trying not to, but
it always comes
the
down
limitation.
to
Our collective limitation. It's quite political, politicized.
It is.
It is a political
It
issue.
is.
We always tend to try and link it to the social aspect and talk about sociology and how it affected the Black race and all of that. But it's a political issue because at the end of the day, what limitation is that is placed on us is you cannot go higher than a certain.
Who sets the limit? Who sets the limit actually?
I like what somebody says here. I think the limitation of being Black. Can you please read the last one, please? In the meantime, I'm going to get the heads on.
I think the limitation of being Black can be divisiveness. Sometimes it feels like we are all fractured, not working towards one common goals, not supporting each other or each other's business. So there is that divisiveness.
Because we don't know any different.
What do you mean by we
don't know any different? Because in terms of society, we've never been taught togetherness. Our togetherness is always focusing on what is not right.
What about the word Ubuntu? Ubuntu is like togetherness.
Absolutely. Coming from Africa, in terms of identity now.
Yes.
But
Oh,
you're
yeah.
talking in the African sense.
Can you pause here, because I've got a caller and I'll give her a chance. Yeah. Hazel is our fourth participant. She's on the line. Hazel.
Hello?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, it's just about the collective liberation and the diaspora.
Okay, I need to know. So before you continue, I need to know if those on the line can also hear what you're saying. Can somebody give us a sign that can hear Hazel? Hazel, can you talk, and we can ask somebody?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but I want to know if other people can hear you. That's
Can other people hear me? Oh, they'll have to make a comment then.
yes. Somebody said yes. Fantastic. Okay, you can carry on. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking coming from a Caribbean perspective, and I'm first generation in the UK, born in the UK, in terms of the history and the diaspora, and coming to the UK. My parents coming to the UK, and I like to say something. There's so many limitations that we've had to overcome. Because my parents their family live on the same plantation in the Caribbean in an island called Grenada, where their four parents were slaves on. And so many people actually, if you visit these places, they actually live in the same circumstances. You'll be quite shocked. In the same circumstances that we were emancipated in. And then some parts of America, you see that as well, like in New Orleans, when Hurricane Katrina hit there, we saw that as well. So, that's a limitation in itself, because some people have never left, or they really hardly leave the village that they're from, living on the same plantation in similar circumstances. They may have some electricity, similar houses that their ancestors lived on as slaves, and they actually haven't moved forward in any way. And it's only when they've left the country to come to England that they've had opportunities, they've learned new things about themselves, their history, knowing that they originated from Africa, because so many, like my parents didn't actually know that. They thought they came from England. That's what they were taught.
Wow, but
That's very important.
And that change is it changing now with technology?
Changing now, but actually people live in a very basic way. You'll be so shocked. So the world has developed, but they may be still living, and their mindsets are so limited, and then they limit the next generation. It's only people that have traveled have really opened their mindset up and have had new opportunities, new knowledge. They've kind of understood their history in order to move forward. There's so many of them that are stuck, I would say. And I think Black History Month is a month that we can look at the whole history and feel proud of who we are as Black people, as a collective, and to try and overcome our limitations.
And coming together, isn't it? Coming together, because somebody said, I think the miseducation. I think we've been miseducated a lot, isn't it? And we actually in an era when we have so much opportunity to change that around because of technology. Yeah. And people knowing now that you are actually one. Yeah. Because that's also one part of miseducation that we didn't have before. I'm going now into overcoming now. And knowing that actually our strength is Ubuntu, which means togetherness. And looking at what we have in common, although we have different, the history, we have similar history that link us, but different ways that everybody went different paths, and we have different story to tell, but we have similarity, and that's what we should focus on. I think for me, that will be one of the way of overcoming the collective limitations, which the idea was to divide us.
Yes.
But now we need to try to come together because of the opportunity we have now with technology. Use that to advantage, and we're doing that today. We're doing that today. I'm so pleased to have you online, because you just said you're from the Caribbean and you're joining this platform because of technology. So we are talking the same language and the same direction.
I was just going to add that, one of the comment that was mentioned there is the fact that business is not supporting each other. Black business is not supporting each other, and that divisiveness that still exists. And I would say you still see a lot of that within certain communities or groups, and I think I would say within the African community,
Right.
that is still very, very prevalent, and that goes way back to mindset, because even within, I would say, even within Nigeria, the class structure is still very much there.
Mhm.
The upper, the high, the middle, and then
And then the have-nots.
the have-nots, and so and the competition that exists within that kind of a culture. And I realize that even within, when you see for instance, my kids did 11 plus exam, and you would hardly see a black, a Nigerian mother or parent patronize a Nigerian 11 plus tutor. They would prefer to go to either a white or an Asian.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I'm one, and so, and even within other businesses, there is a lot of that, taking the money out, that lack of support.
You have to really. I see where we're all coming from, where we're going with this, and just like Hazel said, this is the mindset. Sometimes nobody wants to talk about the psychological aspect of it. That we have been brought up as a people and treated a certain way that for some it becomes our norm.
Yes.
It's about changing mindsets. It's about educating people.
Yeah.
It's about sometimes someone does something like they walk past an African shop and go into an Indian shop, for example.
Yeah.
But it's about
African food.
it's about
African food.
reminding them. It's about just saying, do you know that if you go here, because it's become our norm.
Yeah.
We've normalized what is wrong
Mhm.
about racism, about slave trade, and it's been going on for so long that we don't really say anything. Just to touch upon the video you showed, do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk
Yeah,
about
you can.
Okay, so I watched a video about what's the name of it? Some insects. They were put in a bottle. They were put in a jar. Okay, in the jar they were put there, and it was kind of sealed for 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. After the 3 days, when the jar was open, they didn't fly out anymore.
They've been conditioned.
It's conditioning. They stayed in that jar, and their offspring stays in the jar as well. They don't fly out. They have wings to fly, but they don't fly out.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that, Hazel? Yeah.
It's trauma. It's trauma.
Ingrained, yeah.
It becomes ingrained.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our issues is about re-education.
Re-education.
It will take a long time, but if we acknowledge that that's what it is going to take, then we're starting. But unless we acknowledge and stop focusing on just the negatives of who we are as a people, we're not going to see a way forward.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Hazel wants to add something. You're on the line, Hazel. You want to add something?
Lawrence knows this from me. I've worked for nearly 2 years to deprogram myself from that thinking, because I was definitely the person.
Well done. I applaud you for that. Much respect.
My parents were made a choice to leave their island and come to England to make a change.
Right.
But they were in that bottle as well, though. Still. It's only recently that my mindset has come out. I've flown out of that bottle, and I feel so proud of myself for doing it.
Well done.
It's not about scarcity. The world we are limited. We just got to free our minds.
That's it.
Emancipate our minds from mental slavery. I never had a clue of what that was. The words meant. I used to sing it in Bob Marley's song.
I know. That's a Marley line.
It's only recently that it's hit me. I've emancipated myself from it, and I feel so free because I'm trying to do things with the right people around me to achieve goals that I never thought I could.
Well done. That's really positive.
And to touch on that, Bob Marley was a man ahead of his time, isn't it?
He was way ahead of his time.
The message he was actually sending was a powerful message that it's still relevant today.
Yes, and just as powerful as what Hazel has said, and this is self-realization.
Yes.
You're actualizing what you've learned, and just think about talking to maybe 2 or 3 other people who would go on this journey that you've been on, and it starts spreading. We just need to focus on that positivity and how we can affect that change.
I want to quickly chip in on what Lorna said. The Caribbean culture was built on being divided because that is how the enslavers control the slaves to avoid rebellion against enslavers. Yeah,
it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same.
It's the same
That's
within
why they
our
can't get
race.
along.
It's the same within our race.
And unfortunately, time is against us. That's another limitation. That's another limitation we need to overcome. So time is against us. But I want us to finish with one word. I want you to tell us if you want a part 2 of this, and we start on collective where we left off, and then we can then conclude today. Yeah. So somebody say yes, I agree, Jessica. But yes, please tell us if you want a part 2, because we only have a part 2. If you want us to have a part 2, otherwise we will, we're gonna have to end this. Yeah, we have to choose another topic and bring the same ladies. Will you come back, ladies, on the platform?
Absolutely.
And then give us idea what other topics you think we can cover. Before we do that, somebody said generationally it will take time, a lot of, but at least we'll be part of the change. We can be part of that change, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the one who starts might not be the one finished, but he started. So we're part of it, and we should be proud of that because we're talking about it already.
Yes, absolutely.
That's fantastic. So yes, I don't know. Last word you want to say, LGBT, before you end, and also tell us about your project, what you're doing as well. Link up with your project as well.
I think the likes of Rosa Parks, are celebrated today because they took a stand. And you can imagine the restrictions, the limitations that was there. She refused to stand. For a white person on the bus, and that led to a complete revolution. And the change in the law in America. And so when we look at the fact that it's going to take a long time to see a massive or a generational change, but it's gradual. It's they've set the pace, and they started something for us to carry on building. And you can imagine if everyone takes that mindset, like Hazel said, free your mind from that mental slavery, free yourself from that mental slavery. If we free ourselves from that mental slavery and begin to take decision, make up your mind. They were tired of the limitations around them. So I just want to charge you, just be tired of where you're at, and decide that I'm going to be the change maker. I'm going to be the change catalyst, and just go for it. So my name is Lady T. I run the Whole Woman, I would call it consultation. I currently working with single mothers, because when I became a single mom myself, I realized there was no support. And so I started doing this work with single mothers, providing opportunities for their empowerment, for their restoration. You know what it means. Those of you who have been through that journey knows what it means to be alone in that sense, and just being that strength and that support to women within the community. And I'm running a regular program which provides that forum for single moms to come together. It's called Single Moms Lounge. So we we discuss practical things. I bring in women and people who have walked the path and who can actually throw lights into their situation and enlighten them. We have a Facebook page. It's just connect with us on there. It's called Whole Woman Connections with an X. Just look on there for us, and also look out for a new course that I am writing. Wholeness is one thing that I believe that God wants for his children. If you're a believer, God's highest wish is that you would prosper, you would be in good health as your soul prospers. So a whole package. And so watch out for my course that is coming out very soon. It's the wholeness course, and many more to come. And so please come and link in with us. Ubuntu, it's a community that we're building. We spoke about support, accessing support for you. It's there. Come and don't suffer alone. Let's overcome the limitations together.
Oh, thank you, Lady T. You said it all. I will also pass Lady T's details on my webpage and also on Facebook. And Joyce, you want to say a last word about the topic? Anything you want people to stay with?
I think For me, one of the main things that I want people to recognize is know what is limiting you, and seek that support. And please love yourself, because that would change your mindset. I've had that journey myself, and being where I am now, I'm a practicing social worker. I'm a consultant, international development, and I run a food business. It's possible. You can do it.
Oh yes.
Zitana
Absolutely.
Ventures.
Give
It's
me 5.
pure
Hold on.
African.
And you're a single mom.
Come on.
So it can be done, and we're all here. If you leave a link or leave a contact, and there's anybody that we can refer you to or we can support, please don't be afraid. Leave your details, and we will take it from there. And thank you so much for being part of our
Discussion, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just a single. You don't just single moms here are married, and it doesn't mean that we are labeling. What we want to try is not labeling.
Not
we
at
want
all.
to look at the pros, the
Yes,
cons,
yes.
support, strengths, weaknesses.
Yes.
Everybody's welcome. So it's not, I don't want anybody to think that it's a link, it's a single group.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's for everybody. We really embrace everybody. Your contributions. I'm Laurence from Laurence Motivational, and my platform is supporting, promoting, networking, changing mindset, and improving ourselves. And I think today we have a fantastic discussion today, fantastic ladies. I'm sure you will agree with me. And this is our first live, and we had some limitations at the beginning.
Yes.
We're gonna come.
We overcome.
So we're looking forward to our next one. And please send us your messages. You can find us on Facebook, Laurence Motivational, YouTube, Laurence Motivational. You are on it. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. If I'm missing a platform, please inbox me, send me a message, and tell me, Laurence, you're missing this platform, and I will join that platform. This is a new platform that I'm not aware of. I was born in the 20th century, but I'm adapting, so I'm really proud. That's another limitation of overcome. So well done, guys, for joining us, for being patient.
Yes,
and I hope you've enjoyed it. Send us your message. Remember to share, like, and
comment.
Yeah. We're getting good at this, so please subscribe to my channel. And Lady T as well is on Facebook, as she said. I will send information about Lady T, and
I'm coming on YouTube.
And yes, and Joyce as well. When she starts her own online platform, I will also signpost you guys. Thank you very much for today, and thank you, and bye.
Thank you.
Bye.